Is it okay? Both of them, none of them are static. So parent class, there is a method show which is not static, and child class, there is a method show which is not static. So both of them should be instantiated. Okay. So now the test static. So there is a class parent, there is a class child, and now there is a class test static in which you have a main method. So parent is instantiated, parent show, child is instant, yeah. So now what is happening here? You say the child is subclass of the parent. So it is possible for us to instantiate this child by parent's name. Parent C new child. Now C show, we are still calling the child but not the parent. But whereas here parent P new parent, we are instantiating the parent, and this method belongs to parent. Now parent C new child, it is possible for us to use parent class to instantiate the child, but the method which is called here is from the child, though we use the parent C. In non-static method, we can override a non-static method. In static method, it is static. It is not possible to override a static method because of early binding. Because nothing is static actually. Though I said static, so method, one of the methods should be defined as static. Now we need to open the Eclipse. So I'm going to show you. So let us work with this parent-child, example. This is a bit, important for us. Let's see if, in parent there is static method, and in child it's non-static method. Now, suppose if we can create instantiate the parent, and this is a method from the parent. We can also instantiate the parent when child by using the parent class, but not the child class. What is it? So, and then when you call the method from the child, it throw is a child. It is not non-static, right? But whereas the parent. So since we are using parent here, it is not possible to call the child method because the parent it is static. Static కాబట్టి ఈ చైల్డ్ మెథడ్ ని కాల్ చేసినప్పుడు parent definition వాడుకొని child method ని when we are calling the method from the child by defining the child using the parent class, it will throw a because it is static. So ultimately lesson ఏంటంటే so static methods cannot be overridden. You cannot override the ఇక్కడ మనం ఏం చేస్తున్నాం, we are using the parent class today. We are calling the child method. It is not possible. We have to use the child here, not the parent. That is the lesson. So now let's see how that works in practice. And just very fastly, I'll create a project. This is a static test or test static or whatever it is. So take everything defaults. Yeah, create the module. And then this is actually, so I very thoroughly create a class, and this class is I think it is not the class. Yeah, let's class. This is called parent. I don't want the main class here. Okay, parent. And then I create, is it the way it is defined here? Yeah, all of them are parent is a class, child is a class, and there is a test is a class. Now let's go and create one more class, that is child. And now I'm going to create one more class, the final class, that is for main class. I can call it as main. There is nothing wrong. Okay, main and define చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఇలానే test statistic, and it can be anything. Like, okay, I could have created it. It's okay, fine. Now what we need to do is, at first I create both of them non-static. Non-static create them. So first let me go to the parent, and here I'm going to create void show. This is going to be system out println. And this is going to be parent class. This is parent class. Okay. And now let's go to the child class. Now child extends parent. Okay. System. No. Void show. See, both of them. Please be cautious. Names of the methods are the same. There it is show. Here it is show. It extends. So overriding. I'm trying to override the method. System out. Hello, are you all there?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Print ln, and then so this is child class. Okay. Now what happens? Let me go to the main, and in main, I think I need to import the. Okay, all of them are here. All of them are at the same. Okay, so what I do is, let me create. Let me public void static main, and then here let me. I think I should use string odds. ఇప్పుడు public static void main. Void main, and then parent p is equal to new parent. Okay, parent. So now I think there should be some. Okay, it's not coming. That's fine. P dot show. Now it should be able to print. Now parent child is equal to new child. Okay. Okay, it is a colon. And then C show. It should show like that. If it is showing like that, there is no problem at all. You see here, this is parent instance of the P is instance of the parent, but C is an instance of the parent with a subclass we defined with a subclass. Actually, it is showing me add cast to parent. Yeah, this is what is changed. Type C to child. Okay, let me. Yeah, it comes child. So Eclipse problems. Now parent. Add cast to child and casting child. Yeah, this is another actually. Eclipse will ask you like we need to provide this is what is called casting. The casting entente, it is like how to so whenever whenever we are creating a subclass with the help of the main class, then we need to provide we need to cast the main class. The data types the same thing will repeat. So the only difference is actually we just have to add this the word, that's all. Sorry, we just have to within parentheses parent and chupichali. Type mismatch cannot convert the child to parent. This is Eclipse no problem. Eclipse is one child, is correct. Parents is equal to new child, and then దీనికి solution ఏంటంటే cannot convert the child to parent. So what is the why it is not converting the child into the parent? Child public class, child extends parent. Let me throw this. Child extends to, okay. I just remove the public over there. Okay. So let me first run this control F level, save all. Yeah, this is parent class, this is child class. What happens if okay, let me remove this public also here. Okay, nothing is going to happen. So let me go to the main class and control F11. It works. Okay, fine. So actually, that is the problem. So whenever we are instantiating, see, this comes only through practice. So if you read the book, you will not get it. So what we are trying to do, I created two classes. One is the parent, the other one is the child. Let's see that both of them are not identified with public. Both of them are not public. Okay, they are just classes. Okay, so there is a parent class here. I just defined class parent, and now there is one method inside it, that is show. And now I'm going to show you how to override the method. Now there is class child, and in that it is actually the child of the class parent, and there is a method called show. Now we are going to override the parent's method show with the help of the child's method show. Both of the methods have the same defined with the same word show. So in both parent and child there are methods show. You see the data is different. In child we have the child class only to identify. Okay, in parent we got the parent class. Now I created one more class called main, which is public. Okay, and there is a method main method, and here so I instantiated parent with an object P. P is an object which belongs to the class P parent. And now the method show is called with a dot notation. Okay, P dot show. Now this this retrieves the information from the parent class. Now I'm creating an instance called C. C is an instance of the child, but identified through its parent. Okay, it's a child class, but which is identified through the parent. Now what happens when we call this C show? It calls though it is though it is a parent, it is an object of the parent which belongs to the parent. It still calls the method from the child. So here the learning from this the code, I mean the entire exercise is that we can still create the objects, okay, from the parent class, though they belong to the child class if the methods are non-static. Okay, so ఇప్పుడు నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే I'll just go here and create static. Okay, and now you see the child, there is an error. See, overriding is not possible. See, since I locked it, so I just added the static in parent class. Now the child throws me, it shows me that remove static identifier of the parent show. Now what happens is that it converts into the parent. Child, it removes, like suppose if I want to use the same in parent, suppose if I use, the error is still there. Why? Saver. Why the error is still there? Okay, anyway, so if you use static here, now when you come back to the child, so it will show you, see, this is wiggly, red wiggly lines, which means it is throwing you some, and it's share the remove static modifier. It is modifier. Static is modifier from the parent show. So ఇప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, మీరు దీని మీద క్లిక్ చేస్తే ఏమవుతుందంటే ఆ స్టాటిక్ parent class లో స్టాటిక్ అనేది డిసపియర్ అయిపోతుంది. So that it will let me go to the main and see if I can say, yeah, it's still going on. అది ఊరికే కనిపించిందండి, but actually there is no error. So sometimes in Eclipse what happens, though there is no error, it just so here what happens, now let me use static. I convert it as static, save this. Now the child shows me the error. Now what happens, I have to wait, since it is static. So either I have to, no, I can use it as child. I can change the name of the method, child show. Now there is no problem. I can, but I cannot use the same, since it is static, I cannot use the same kind of, so no. Now let me go to the main. and I don't need to, suppose if I delete this and come here and show, I think it should be still create a method show. Okay, it's not showing me. So I still have to, since it is a class, I still, it tells me that, I have to use the instance. If it is not a class, then I can go for the problem in the main law. Is static కాబట్టి now I should not be able to, since the parent I have the static, child I cannot use show. Okay, this is a child method. So what the book shows, let us go back to the book. Just so class parent void show, class child extends void show, and this is okay, fine. And here parent static, child not static. So here what happens, parent p child is valid, this is valid, but this is not valid. Since this is not valid, because there is no point in going ahead here, we cannot, because there is an error automatically. So now the parent I have static method, and child I have a non-static method of the. So anyway, there is an error. It is not possible for us. When I go to the main, let me. So there is an error. So error. Even then, Eclipse is going on. That is actually the beauty of the Eclipse. Suppose if I, let me change child. Let me remove the typecast. If a child still have the problem, because you cannot, it shows me, then go, override. Override is not create annotation override, change the override. Okay. Fix project center. Okay. Remove override annotation. I don't want to. Okay. It's still working on it. It works, but actually it just shows error. ఇది Eclipse కాబట్టి మనకి execute అయిపోతుంది. But actually, if you create these classes in CLI, I'm sure it will not go ahead. So errors exist in required projects. So there will be an error. So that is what yeah, there is an error here. This is parent class, but child is not coming up. Why? Because there is an error in the child. So guys, so end of the lesson is like this. So if you create a static method in the parent, and it is not possible for us to, call that method, it is called calling the method by using the child. By using the child, but if you use the parent with a casting, it works. It still has it works. So suppose if you have a static method here in parent, you can still use that method if you define the child as parent. If you define the child as parent. Okay. In spite of the error that which exists in the child, if you define a static method in the parent and in the child class, even though you have an error, and you still can maintain, you still can call that method if you define the child as by the name parent. If you use child, it is not going to work. this is going to throw an error. That is an error. So overriding cannot be. So parent class works, till here it works, but when it comes to control comes to child, exception is set main Java error, and the static say the instance method cannot override the static method from the parent. So understand what it says is that you already have the method in the parent is static, so you cannot override the parent method. See, the child extends parent, it is actually a subclass of the class, but Java, this is called error message shows that the static method from the parent cannot be overridden by the child class. So this is what is the lesson of this example from this example. So is it clear, or you have any questions? I'll stop the class here, and please ask me questions if you don't understand this concept. So it's straightforward. Actually, I was trying to. So what we did is, first I created a class parent and then a child, which is subclass of the parent. Both of them are non-static. Both the methods are non-static. There is show method in parent, there is show method in the child. Both of them are non-static, and there is no problem. There was a problem actually. It was the problem of the typecasting. Casting. We need to cast it. Anyway, that's keeping it aside, but there is no problem. But whenever we have a static method in the parent, now the child cannot catch that method because child is the subclass of the parent. When it is subclass of the parent, a static method cannot be overridden. Now, when we call the method, the child, since the child cannot override the method from its parent's method, obviously it end up with the error. So that is what is actually lesson from this example. So anybody, if you have questions, you can ask me now. If you are confused or if you have any question. So this is the practical. Guys, it was disconnected. My internet connection was off for a brief moment of time. So any questions? If you don't have any questions, then I'll go ahead. Sumedha, you got the question? Can somebody explain me what we did in this example? Someone from the class, please. No, let's have a wrap up. Like, let me see if you have been following me or not, because somebody, can you please tell me what I have explained in this class so that I'll get the confidence that you are following me? Hello, guys. I asked you a question. Can somebody explain me what I have explained in this? I mean, till now, not in this class. We still have the discussion. We have 10 minutes more to go. Maybe like, Bhavya, are you there? 1050 Bhavya. Can I see you? Hello, I'm talking to Bhavya. I want to see your face. So one person, two persons went away. Two persons went away. You see, actually, you don't want me to. Why the people are just simply disappearing? That's bad. You can't disappear just like that. Okay, let me go ahead. So till now, what I explained to you is I created two classes. One is parent, the other one is child. I defined two methods. In parent, both of the methods are same, non-static. As long as the methods was non-static, there is no problem. There won't be any error. But if you convert one of the methods in parent, if you convert the method inside the parent as static, then the child cannot execute. Since it cannot override the method in the parent, there will be an error. So that now let's go ahead and see what is the rest of the. Now the next concept is going to the keywords. So it's a very small concept. Okay, Java has got reserved keywords. So these are all. This is a list of the keywords. So you can't use these keywords as variables while defining the data types. Like an abstract is a keyword, case is a keyword. So you can't say in the case. I can't use a float continue or boolean continue or something like that. These are all actually the reserved words. It's not a big thing. Int is a reserved word. For is a reserved word, and class is a reserved word. I cannot use int class. So these reserved words, so they fall under the concept called keywords. Java has got a keywords. Every keyword is a reserved word. In Java programming, it is by convention. Some of the words are reserved, and those reserved words are keywords. Okay, this is the list of the keywords, and you just have to. For is a keyword. While is a keyword. If is a keyword. So we can't use those words. And then there is a concept called identifiers. An identifier or the name given to a variable. A name given to a variable. See here, int float is not there. Both of them are reserved keywords. Reserved words or keywords. We cannot use int float, but we can use int a. So a is identifier and int is keyword. Int is a keyword and a is an identifier. That is what identifiers are, the names given to the variables, classes, methods. So you could have what is parent? Parent is an identifier. What is public? Modifier. Public, private, default modifiers. Okay. Int, float, even keywords. Okay. Variable names are identifiers. Suppose if I use kind of so there is an example here. I don't need to write it. Suppose see here, int is a keyword, speed limit is an identifier, 80 is the value. Value of the value is called. There is a name for the value. The name is. They are called. There is a name where it comes. Literals. They're called literals. So in Boolean is a keyword, flag is an identifier, false is a literal. False is a literal. So in this example, see here in this example, where is that example? Yeah, suppose if I say int speed limit 80, so you have to know 80 is literal. 80 is literal, speed limit is identifier, int is a keyword. And public, private, default, they're all modifiers. So this is another, the important concept. Everybody of you have to know this. Because after learning Java programming, if you don't know what is a modifier, identifier, keyword, and literal, it's a shame. And then there are names, whenever so this is actually a variable. It is an identifier, at the same time, a variable. We are trying to, this statement is going to define a variable with a name, speed limit, whose literal is 80, and a key associated with a keyword called int. So 80 is literal, this is identifier, this is a keyword, and at the same time, speed limit is a variable. We are defining a variable. You can define any variable. It doesn't matter. Like in a class, they're all members of the class. That is what is the meaning of the class. Suppose here parent, I can come here, I can say string. I don't know, I'm just trying to string type అనేది I call T is equal to, I say parent. Okay, semicolon. Now what happens? It will just show me the capital S ఉండాలి. Create class string. No, I want, yeah, change the string. Yeah. So now this need to be a capital S. That's all. So now what happens? I can just write it as plus and then T, something like that. Here I can come up with this class is okay, dash. That's it. I can just now this is actually string is a keyword. T is a variable. We are creating a variable, but it is an identifier, and this is literal. This is literal. Actually, this is not a literal. This is called the value. This is a key, and what Java does is actually it converts this into a key value tuplet. Tuplet means collection of the two things. Tuplet is collection of two things. In Python we call it tuplet, but T is a name of a value called parent. We are defining a variable whose name is T with a value called parent, and it is of the type string. And now nothing is going to happen. Is there anything here? There is nothing. There is no error. Now at this point in time, if I go, this is a parent. So now what I did? So instead of writing it as it is called hard coding. Instead of creating an output which is hard coded, I just created a variable, and that variable is passed into the output statement. So that is what I did. So here in this statement, string is a keyword, T is a identifier, and parent is a value. It is not a literal. You can also think like a literal. Literal is usually standard values for a given identifier. Suppose if I create a boolean b, suppose if I create false, this is a literal. False is a literal, something like that. Okay, so but irrespective of that, we can simply call anything as literal. Identify something, P, string. There are some naming conventions, even with Chadukund. So how do you need to define a variable, and what are the rules and his name is a sequence of the Unicode letters and digits. It should be Unicode letters. Most of the programming languages, they espouse the Unicode. They encode the characters and numbers using Unicode logic. So what is this Unicode? This is an encoding strategy while dealing with the characters and numbers. Okay, you have to read that. That is a separate discussion actually. So I mean, a variable name can have the $sign and underscore, but it cannot be a blank. It cannot be a plain white space. It cannot be a white space. When creating the variable, choose a name that makes sense. So the sense is very, very important. Okay, score, number, level makes more sense than yes, N, L, but I do this. So in this class, I explained you how to deal with the parent class and child class, especially when we define static and non-static methods. Okay, how to define the static and how to deal with the static and non-static methods in two different classes, especially if one class is the parent class, the other class is child class. And I also explained you what is a variable and how to deal with variables, different aspects connected with the variables. Okay, any questions?